bought a few Naks like that. This is a cheap way to get Nakamoto blood into me stable. I think it was my first one was Dreamy.
Yeah.
I think I paid a bit over 0.2 for her, and she turned out to be a really strong horse. And when racing was really good there, about 3-4 weeks ago, she was making $500-700 US a week for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah, with us, Lucky from Lucky Stars Stable. How's it going?
Yeah, good man. How are you?
Pretty good. Nice to have somebody else from the other side of the pond come on.
Yep.
So, how did you hear about Zed Run? What got you started in it?
Yeah, well, I actually heard about Zed Run from a guy at work that got me into crypto. Actually, he come to work one day and just mentioned that he'd heard about this horse racing game called Zed Run that he thought I might be interested in, and yeah, I hadn't really gotten to NFTs at all at that point. And obviously you hear about it amongst the crypto stuff, and yeah, come home, checked it out, and I was pretty much instantly hooked. So I've never been a big dude into horse racing or anything like that, but yeah, I just took to it, and yeah, the rest was history, sort of thing.
Now, where'd you come up with the name Lucky Stars?
Well, Lucky Stars is just we have a game here in Australia. It's like a fantasy football league called Supercoach for Aussie rules. And my team in that was always called Lucky Stars, so that's pretty much it. I just sort of went with it. My nickname's Lucky, so yeah, that was it. Just to follow on, off the top of my head, I thought I'll just make it that, and yeah, it's just sort of stuck now.
Oh, that's pretty fitting then.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first horse was?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been a bit of a long journey now, but I'm pretty sure my first horse was actually named Hoof Hearted. So it was pretty amusing. The kids liked it, so thought we'll buy this one, and it was an absolute donkey. It was no good. Never going to win a race, but
It's only been raced 10 times.
Has it? Yeah. That's probably nearly all by me. I might have had a couple of races when I brought it.
Oh, maybe this is a different horse. It's all good though. So I kind of caught you when you had a pretty strong couple of horses, and it was funny because we were racing each other. We didn't even know it there in the beginning with Square Theater. Where did he come along in the whole journey? Because I know you said you started pretty small, right?
Yeah, I did, and yeah, obviously I didn't have like a heap of ETH or anything like that, and I just started off small, just with a little bit of gains from just little things from like different altcoins and stuff like that, and I sort of rolled it over to Zed Run. But I pretty much was watching some content creators. I couldn't remember which ones at the time, but with finding races and stuff like that, and checking out, with when we had odds data and stuff like that, and basically found this horse, the Square Theater, and I'd noticed that he'd had a couple of runs at 1,000 meters, and he pulled like 5 odds. And the guy, he was also pulling decent odds, as they do, as we know now. Those spiker horses, they pull good horses at good odds rather at marathon distances as well. And he was pretty much just running him there. And I sort of thought, I think this horse is a sprinter. And I managed to talk him down to, I think it was 0.3 ETH, and which was an absolute steal.
Yeah.
And the rest was sort of history. I think I raced him about 1,000 times, and I think he made me about 0.7 ETH in profit.
Yeah, he was a really strong horse.
Yeah, and he also was lucky enough. Sort of everyone didn't know what the go was with breeding and stuff, so I actually sold a few studs off him as well for like 0.1 and stuff like that. So, which it was not remotely worth it, but none of us knew what we're doing at that stage. So, well, I didn't at least. So yeah, he paid himself off, and I actually, as you know, I sold him a couple of weeks ago for 1.5 ETH, and then rolled those profits into a Szabo Genesis stud. So pretty good outcome in the end. I was sad to see him go, but you can't get too attached.
Yeah, I remember when you sold him. It was kind of one of those days like, oh man, upgrading the stable, but at the same time, you had a lot of head-to-heads with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I was sort of walking around the house playing Adele for the rest of the afternoon.
That's funny. I'll have to remember that. Now, when you first got into the game, did you think Szabos and stuff were going to be out of reach at that Genesis level?
Definitely. I thought there's no chance that I'm ever going to own one of those. I thought, I might be lucky enough to be able to trade my way up into some finnies. But then obviously with ETH prices and market Zed prices changing and it become obviously affordable, and obviously being able to swing a couple of those horses, sell them off for big profits, definitely helped. I mean, like I said just earlier, I almost held off thinking that we might have a bit more of a dip in the market, but I was pretty happy just to trade me Z10 Genesis Butte up to a Z4 Szabo for pretty much nothing in the end, so I can't complain with that.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy too looking at your profit and loss. Like, you were negative until race 100, and then race 100 you broke even, and then you've never not been profitable since.
Yeah, right.
Like, you're pushing like almost 1.2 ETH profit.
Yep. Yeah, it's been sitting at that for a little bit now. I sort of took off like a rocket there when I picked up another couple of horses. But about that 100 races there, I think that you're probably about when I'll probably purchase Square, and then sort of turned around from there, because he was a pretty efficient class 4 and 5 sprinter. I mean, I'd run him mostly in the cheap races, but I mean, as you know, you rack up half a dozen of those a day, and it's pretty good profit.
Now, early on, did you have a different strategy on building your stable than you do now?
Yeah, I mean, I've just gone through all different types of strategies that I've just sort of come up with along the way. I mean, I just at the start there, I just was wanting to produce as many exclusives as I could, because you could still make a good profit on them. So that was sort of my strategy there for a little while, was to just breed all my Genesis all the time, and then breed those legendaries that I produced, and just make as many exclusives as I could and sell them off for a profit. But obviously everyone had the same idea, and that didn't quite work out. But I didn't wait too long. I sort of transitioned into different strategies sort of pretty quickly before I lost all my value in my horses. And now pretty much moved into just trying to get all the different bloodlines into my stable now, and just mix and match with those, and basically see how I go. Sort of running with that base ability theory, I suppose you could call it, I watch a lot of the XYZ Talk guys, and basically just going from there, trying to find horses that are pretty much just Genesis. I don't buy a lot of horses that aren't Genesis unless they're sort of UUs. I bought a few Naks like that because it's a cheap way to get Nakamoto blood into my stable, and I don't have to pay the Nak stud fee, because I've been buying just buying mares.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty good for you lately too.
It has, yeah. It's gone all right. My first one was, I think it was my first one was Dreaming.
Yeah.
I think I paid a bit over 0.2 for her, and she turned out to be a really strong horse. And when racing was really good there about 3-4 weeks ago, she was making $500-700 US a week for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's already over 0.2 profit.
Yep.
And I know you kind of been playing around it in class 1 now, so it's probably a little bit harder to rake in quite like it was. But
yeah, well, I thought she'd come straight back out of class 1, to be honest, even with the new point system. But no, being such a high variance horse, that I mean, there's a lot of lesser horses, I suppose you could say, that have ended up there now. So, and they tend to hang around the $2.50, $5 mark, which is where I've been racing her up there, because I didn't want to go against the big monsters.
Yeah.
And she's still been racking up wins, so a little bit of profit. But I think she might be cemented herself in class 1 now.
Now that odds are gone, because I know you're always hitting me up with different racers and stuff, and you've had some pretty good luck. Even, what was Nutroll? Wasn't he like a cross or something, or a pacer that you bought and flipped him out after you ran him and won a bunch of money with him?
Yeah, Nutroll was a really strong racer from memory. I've had a few though. It was different strategies, obviously, with the flames, and pretty much I just went on win percentage after the odds went away. Because like you see, there was plenty of horses that I was seeing that were flaming, but they wouldn't perform. So I pretty much just went on the win percentage. Like if the horse had 50 plus races or near on 50 races and was holding nearly a 20% win rate, I thought, well, without flames or not, this horse is going to be a bit of a runner. But some of those didn't. Most of those didn't turn out, to be honest. But yeah, I managed to snag a few good ones along the way, and yeah, probably. I mean, probably was lucky in a sense is that when I was buying them, and then ETH prices would come up. So when I would sell, I'd sell the horse at a loss. But as far as USD value goes, I probably was pretty well at least breaking even on them and making a bit of profit on some. So just try to identify those horses early on, and hopefully, find them mismanaged and ran at the wrong distances, and it's like similar to what I did with Square. It's just trying to replicate that pretty much, and yeah, that's how I went about it.
Now, kind of going forward, what do you think your strategy is going to be?
So I've sort of definitely pivoted at the moment because obviously, as we all know, racing's been tough the last couple of weeks. I think you can see it from me profit loss of big run up and then just a big plateau off. So I've pretty much switched a bit of strategy now to mostly trying to breed now. I haven't had a chance to breed me NAC exclusives with me Szabo stud yet, just because I'm waiting for me mares to be ready to breed. But pretty much that's my strategy going forward now. Hopefully produce some Z8, 9 exclusive Szabos and hopefully get some runners out of them.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that turns out since I just got into the bloodlines myself of
Yeah.
that Nakamoto Szabo level.
Yeah. Well, the NAC, obviously the Genesis NAC stud was well out of my price range, so decided I'd just go with the exclusives there, and especially for the price they were going at the time. I mean, we were looking at them, even like, obviously I haven't got a legendary, but even the legendary prices, legendary exclusive NAC prices had come right down. So like I was, you could pick them up for 0.1 now, I think, like Z4 exclusive NACs, which is just, unraced, unnamed.
Yeah, that was over half an ETH. Feels like not that long ago, but in crypto world, it moves so fast.
That's right. I mean, I can remember wanting to chase a anti-flash white Z, like a legendary NAC mare, and I hit up Lucky Jack actually, and he finally had one. He bred one and hit me up, but there's no way I could pay over an ETH for it. I was at the time I thought, was thinking to myself, just compare it. Compared to what else I could get on the market, like the Genesis horses were so cheap, and it was like, well, I'm always going to be able to go back to the well and get a legendary NAC. They're going to keep making them, but these Genesis horses, who knows what their price will do, and I'll be priced out, and I might not be able to buy another one ever again. So pretty much tried to collect as many Genesis as I could, and yeah, and most of those Genesis buttes now I'm sort of just sitting on. I might play around breeding now that we've got an adjusted minimum. But I was breeding them flat out, and then obviously now they're just sort of sitting there collecting dust. But I'll just hold on to them unless I can sell them for what I paid for them and swing them into something else. I'll just hold on to my Genesis horses for now.
Yeah, because you still have what, like 8 or 9? Still have quite a few.
I think so. I think probably, about maybe 8. Yeah, I sold one yesterday that I brought unraced and for 0.3 or something a few weeks ago, and lucky Muffin, and she didn't turn out, but someone brought her yesterday for 0.2, so I was happy with that.
Yeah, because you're still sitting on, I think, 3 unraced? Remember the President Holy Dagger and Rough Ride?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, we've got a Z9 and Z10 mares unraced, and I've got a Z8 Gainsborough stallion named Rough Ride unraced. So
it's a fun horse. I want to see it on the track, but I also don't want to see it.
Yeah,
it's fun seeing unraced.
Yeah, I've thought the same thing myself, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I mean, at the time, I think he might have nearly been, besides out me Szabo stud in the end, he was probably my biggest purchase. Yeah. I remember seeing him up for, at the time, he was 0.85, which was an absolute steal at the time for a Z8 unraced Gainsborough. And I almost didn't bother trying to buy him because I thought, he'll get snaveled up too quick by the time he ETH transfers and, over the bridge and all the rest of it. And then I was up really late that night. I had work the next day, and I thought, no, bugger it, I'm going to give it a go. And I've never clicked the button to spend $3,500 so quick in my life. I think that's what it worked out in Australian dollars at the time. And I was pretty happy with myself. But obviously the market for him's dipped a lot, unfortunately. But I mean, I'll just hold on to him.
Yeah, the craziest thing is too, I was going to buy that horse the next week.
Yes, we've had that a
You
few
snatched
times,
it.
haven't we? Yeah,
Yeah.
a few times we've been sitting there looking at a horse, and you've sent one through to me. I'm looking at this horse. I'm like, oh, so am I.
No, did you get to run? Because another one of your really strong sprinters is Lucky Royale. Did you ever run
Yep,
Lucky and Square together?
I did, especially when I first. So I had her actually bought Lucky as unraced as well,
Oh wow.
and that was when I don't, a lot of people probably remember we went through that phase there where um everyone sort of wanted the fillies because there
Hmm.
was a big premium on unraced legendaries and stuff. So people were buying fillies, breeding them, then chucking them back up. And I think at the time the metadata or whatever you call it was taking its time to catch up, and people were basically selling mares, but they were still showing up as fillies.
Mm.
And I got stung with that um, on a couple of purchases. I think it was at least one. There's a horse that me and my brother actually went halves with, a Genesis mare. Well, I thought it was a filly at the time, and unfortunately, there was this. I won't name his bloody open sea account, but everyone knows who he is. I think he's pretty notorious for doing it. He was basically buying these horses and then breeding them and then chucking them back up for the same amount, and he knew that it was popping up as filly still, and then selling them off to people. To them, unfortunately, once they crossed over stables, that obviously was enough of a change in the metadata for it to upload, and then oh no, I've got a mare and I've got to wait 4 weeks to breed her now. So, but yeah, sorry, back to Lucky Royale. I've done the same thing with that. I actually went to bed that night, laid in bed because she was up for about half an ETH, and I was really disappointed that I'd brought that other horse, and it turned out to be a mare. And I was laying there thinking about it, and I thought, nah, I've got to get up and buy this horse. So I got about 2 o'clock in the morning. I think it was. I had to get up at 6 for work, and yeah, press the buy button, and then had a couple of unraced Genesis, and then one day you're bored or whatever and impatient and decided I was gonna. I think I ran a Colt before her, and he wasn't too bad, but he was no superstar. Pulling 11 odds and stuff like that. So an average horse, and pretty disappointed with that. And I was like, oh bugger it, I'll try lucky now. And I threw her in her Griffin, and I actually picked her distance in the Griffin by fluke. Just threw her in a sprint Griffin, and she pulled $3.70 odds or something. And yeah, I'm near on hit the roof. I was pretty excited, and then to answer your question, I wanted to run her against Square to see how they would compare in a sprint. I think it ended up being a class four, might have been a class 4 or 5 sprint, and they're both very similar odds. They had the two best odds. I think they were like $5.70 and $6.30 or something like that. So pretty close. I think Square just got her, so I was a bit disappointed there. I thought, I was hoping she'd be sort of stronger than Square, but and then they both very rarely run down the back, and I think they ran 11th to 12th.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Let's not do that anymore.
no. So yeah, I tested it the once just to test the odds data, obviously, and similar
Yeah.
to what people do now with the Flames, I suppose. You get a new horse, and you got a strong mid-distance horse, and chuck it in with that, and see which one pulls Flames.
And it's kind of funny how that worked out. I didn't know
Mm.
you bought Lucky on Raced.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and obviously just love the name, and she's got that pretty blue like that Azure color.
Yeah,
So and she's done really well for me.
I'm just gonna have you buy all my horses for me. I'll send you the ETH.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
terrible at picking runners.
I've had definitely had some terrible picks at runners, but me picks for Genesis horses have been pretty solid. I mean, I was flipping a few as well when the
Mm-hmm.
market was high for them, especially those the studs, because we went through a phase there, and even probably still a little bit now, especially for players that don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're looking for the high win percentage from the stud. So I was basically
Yeah.
going through trying to find Genesis horses, the studs that had only been raced sort say 10, 20 times, but they had over a 20% win rate. Just because I felt like I could sell their studs off. And yeah, I managed to get lucky with a couple of those and raced them a little bit. I think I had one Sandhill Flash, and I raced him, and I think he showed a bit of province, but I mean I'd done enough racing to know that he was going to be no well beater. So he probably looked a little bit better than he actually was, if that makes sense. So I sort of I flipped a couple of them for a bit of a profit, and God knows what I've done with the profit now, but turned it into some other horse somewhere along the line.
Now it's funny because like when I talk to my wife, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking at this horse, or so and so sent me this horse, and it's like $7,000. And like people outside of Zed Run like freak. They're like, "What? You're gonna spend that much on a digital horse?" But like in
Yeah,
crypto, like that's nothing.
that's
Like it
right.
feels
That's right.
like $7,000 for a Nakamoto or something. 2 ETH. It's just, oh yeah, it's just 2 ETH. So and so spent 10 yesterday.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I have the exact same thing. I think I woke up the wife when I brought Rough Ride. She'd just gone to bed, I think. She was just falling asleep, and I read down the hallway. I was all excited, and she couldn't understand why I was so excited over spending $3,500 on a digital horse. Like she looked like she wanted to throttle me. But I was like, no, it's worth way more than that.
Yeah.
I was really excited, and yeah, similar thing. Got to work the next day, and the boys are always asking me now, because I went through phases there. Where I was winning some good coin racing digital horses and stuff, and going to work and talking to them about it, Smoko and stuff, and yeah, they were just sort of shaking their heads like, you what? You spent $3,500 on a digital horse? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing with everybody at work. And now if I don't talk about it, then they come find me. Hey, how's that horse thing going?
Yep.
It's kind of funny how they.
Yep. Mine did exactly the same thing. They come hunt me. It's the first thing they ask me. How's the horses going, Lucky?
Now, is there a horse that you wish you could own?
Oh, there is plenty.
If you had to pick one, which one do you want?
I had to. I mean, the obvious answer's got to be Princess of Power, but I'll pick something different. I've always had a soft spot for the Crimson Chin, just because I've had most of my good runners, nearly all of my good runners, have always been sprinters, just by coincidence. And then obviously, I do prefer the sprints. The marathons are, you're watching for 90 seconds for nothing.
You get so mad when I send you a marathon race.
Yeah. You say,
great. What am I going to do for
this
2
race?
minutes?
Yeah, watch this race. I'm like, oh, I'm nearly falling asleep.
Yeah.
But no, I had a soft spot for sprinters. So, and yeah, he was sort of the dominant sprinter that everyone would always talk about. And yeah, he's a nice horse.
Now, if you could breed with anything, what do you want?
Oof.
If you could snag a free stud, what would you be grabbing?
I wouldn't mind seeing. He's fairly new, but I wouldn't mind seeing what. I'd probably go with Milk Bar. Milk Bar Mania. That. Yeah, Arbitrage's new horse. I'd probably. I almost didn't want to mention him during the interview because I thought I haven't seen a bit of content yet where he doesn't get mentioned a few times. I didn't want his head to get too big, So, but no, obviously the bloke's an absolute machine. He's obviously probably the best Zed player that we have. So good on him. Yeah, Arbitrage, if you're up for giving me a free start, I'll test out Milk Bar for you.
There you go. Even a floor stud would be worth it.
You're not wrong. Anything in his stable, he's probably throwing out good stuff.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about the progression of the game? Because you were probably racing a little bit before me, so you saw racing where there's no stamina, racing with that shit ass stamina when it's still called fatigue, and then the newest iteration of it.
Yeah, well, it's like obviously they're just playing around with it, trying to get it right. I suppose. I mean, we've had ups and downs. I mean, had weeks there where I've been thinking to myself, if I get a couple more runners here, I might be able to quit my job. Obviously, I wouldn't be silly enough to ever do something like that. Like I explained to the wife, I'd have to be in a really, really strong position, be able to do it sort of 3-4 times over before I committed myself to doing anything like that. But yeah, it's been different. I mean, those they all sort of had their pros and cons. I mean, it sucked when you could only race a few times a day, but I mean, my horses were winning during that time.
Yeah, you were making almost $200 a day between 6 horses.
Yeah, that's right. So because the monsters could only run so many times, I mean, I would just sit here and just one half split screen, just Hawku scrolling, and just have the race screen up on the other, and pretty much just that was before I had any sort of extension to help. But I pretty much just I started to make my own sort of what would you call it, like a spike list, almost like from when the odds data was around. I knew the horses with my horses that I had to avoid, and I pretty much just tried to do that as effectively as possible. I mean, Square was never a big money racer. He's just not that strong. because I tested it obviously, but I would poach those $10-15 race buy-ins. I would see a weak field, and I'd be scratching my head like, who are these people, But obviously, people with a bit of money to burn want to test their horse out, and I just say, yep, thank you for your donation.
Yeah, it's crazy looking back. Like, why didn't we breed with Nakamoto's when it was only $78 or $125? Why didn't we race 200 times a day when we could?
Yep. Well, I definitely was when
yeah, you did.
When we could race unlimited. I mean, I loved that. I love the unlimited racing. I mean, yeah, not that saying that it was best or anything, but I remember thoroughly enjoying the game during that period. And yeah, it's like with everyone. I mean, everyone's talked about it's been ups and downs, and I mean, all those different stamina things have had their pros and cons. I mean, you can race your horse more, but it also means that the horses that are stronger than you're going to run into them more times. So, I mean, I actually watched, I think it was an interview yesterday with Golden Glow and whoever he had on, and he was actually made a good point, because he would like to see them play around with it a bit more. And I probably agree with that. I mean, why not just go, say, make it 10 races in the 12, well, it's 12 hours now, but remember we had that 24-hour period. Why not they could have played around with it a lot more. I suppose that it's hard for Zed. I mean, 1 minute you're not listening to the community, and then you're listening too much, and it's a hard balancing act for them. I mean, especially for them, they're trying to play the longer game, but also trying to please us in the short term as well. So it wouldn't be an easy job. I mean, I don't envy those guys that have to try to put the fires out in those in general sometimes. I mean, people get passionate. I mean, people get frustrated. They've had a crappy day at work and come home and they can't race their horses. And I've been, as you know, I've been there myself. I usually I don't usually don't go to Zed General to vent it too much. I usually just sort of, hey Mike, what are you up to?
Didn't want to sell my stable again.
Let me chew your ear off for 10 minutes about how I'm not enjoying myself at the moment.
It's all good. I don't mind being that sounding board for the community.
But no, it's been better. Yeah, I would still like them now to see them play around with it a bit more, with make it 8 every 12 hours, and just sort of try to find a good balance.
How do you like the events and the free races
yeah.
being reserved for during event time?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced on them just being reserved for that. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a mediocre sort of stable now. I suppose new players would see my stable as huge, I suppose. But obviously compared to the real big stables, I'm not. But I mean, I'd like to see something there for new players to be able to come in, test their horses out, and not have to pay a fortune, and you just donate money to us more experienced stables that know where our horses run and all that sort of stuff. So it's good and bad. I mean, I would like to see the free races come back full time, so people have an option to not spend a fortune.
Would you still keep them where you can't downclass in them then?
It's hard.
That's a hot button topic.
Yeah, and it's hard because especially with the new class system. I mean, I think I probably would have them so you can still down button. I mean, they sort of changed it. They seem, they've changed a few things at the same time. So I think the problem with changing a few things like that, like not being able to downclass in the free races and changing the point structure at the same time, it's sort of hard. Say we did have a big uptick in racing and everyone was happy. It's sort of hard to tell what thing you changed has had the big effect. If that makes sense. Where if you do it one thing at a time, you sort of get a better idea of once again though, back to the old. I mean, these guys are just scrambling around trying to please us all. And I mean, I live in a house with 3 girls, and I can't keep all 3 of them happy at the same time. So I can only imagine what it's like to have their job. So it is hard, but I would like to see them. Yeah, because I mean, people that are downclassing. I mean, they're easy poachers for the people that are on the way up. I mean, people are trying to lose points in sprints, and I mean, if you haven't you've got a decent runner, but it's no world beater. I mean, you can pick up those wins there. I mean, and everyone wants to win, and I mean, whether she's in her down button or not, I'll chase Princess of Power around while she's trying to lose.
Yeah, and it's I almost think too with the new point system, since you have to lose 3 times to mitigate a win, like you can probably get rid of stamina at this point.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah,
if
well,
you want to
that's true.
destroy your horse's win rate and donate money, to the other people who are trying to win the races while you're going down,
Yeah.
seems that would self balance a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm with the point thing. I mean, I'm assuming they've got like a longer game
Yeah.
planned here, but because to me that definitely doesn't. And once again, I would like to see them back to Golden Glow's point from the thing I watched yesterday. I would like to see them play around with that a bit more. Like, I mean, what I say isn't right, but I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, I would have liked maybe it would have made a bit more sense for say first to be 5 points and 12th still to be worth -3. Just so you're still sort of allowing for that the U-shaped horses. I mean, it's disappointing if sort of they get sort of thrown to the curb sort of thing because I mean I've been here for a little while now. People have been here a lot longer than me, and I mean that's been what people have invested in. But
Right.
that's what people have tried to breed. And then to turn around and to change the fact that the strong U races. I mean, and I mean I do 100% understand people's point when they talk about oh, I never really seen the point of trying to make your horse lose. But I mean, as if I've never been into horse racing at all, but just talking about it with guys at work and that. And I mean, that does happen to a degree in real horse racing because
Mm.
they'll try to get it down different divisions or whatever classes, whatever they're called. But I mean, it's a game, So if the game is you run 12 looser points so you can win, I mean, it's a game. I mean, it's not real horse racing, So as much as I just said, people do that in real horse racing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not real horse racing. So I never see that had a problem with it. And obviously, Square was a U-shaped racer. I mean, I suppose what people refer to as a synthetic one. He doesn't do it on his own. I mean, most of the ones that I've seen that aren't synthetic are usually those mid-distance pie variance horses. But yeah, he was a synthetic U. Chuck him in 2,400 meters. He'd lose, come last 85% of the time, and then or not quite 80%, but chuck him in sprints and he'd win more than not.
Mm-hmm.
And then there, I think I ran into a couple people in the general at the time. Went through that stage where people, and let's be honest, mostly people that either had gigantic stables or they didn't have a synthetic U-shaped horse, were complaining about it or whatever. And I was a bit taken back at the time because it was almost like I know people in the heat of the moment and stuff, but it almost made me feel like I was doing something wrong, like because I've never been one for cheating at all. I've always
Right.
been, not just saying it, that's the honest truth. There's no victory in knowing you didn't really win. And I was a bit taken back by that when I seen that a lot of people were against it. And I thought, well, I'm just sort of playing within the game. Like I had no idea that there was people that were even upset with it when I'd started doing it.
Mm.
And I mean, the game is what it is. I mean, if it's within the games like within the game like you're actually able to do it, I think it's fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be a stronger stable. There's always going to be a strongest horse. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, it's nice to obviously have more people win, but I mean, we're playing a horse racing game. I mean, everyone wants to own, that Princess of Power type horse. And I mean, if you go and jam all the horses too close together, I mean, we're all just robbing ourselves of the opportunity to have one of those horses one day if we make the competition too close.
Yeah, and that's the hard balancing it because it seems like in order to make the natural ewers or the class 5 runners more profitable,
Yep.
you have to do something that negatively impacts the really strong horses. So then
Yep.
you're taking away the value from the really high end horses, and if you take away the value of the really high end horses, then how do you justify a $40,000 Nakamoto or paying
Yep.
what was $400 or $500 for a stud if it's not going to be as profitable because there's a really low ceiling. So like
Yep.
you said, I don't want to be the person having to make those decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's strange. Like you see the market swing so quick, don't you? Like we had this
Mm-hmm.
points update, and I mean, you were seeing these horses get sold, and they people probably still made good profit on them, and it's up to them to make their own decisions when they buy and sell horses. But I mean, like John the Horse and all these sort of really strong like bookend horses that have lots of firsts, lots of 12s, and then a big strong dip down between, and you see them getting sold off because people were just thinking, well, all them 12s are only worth 2 points now, and all these firsts are worth 6. Like, this horse is going to be in Class 1 before you know it. So, but I mean, if personally I was never going to be doing anything like that because they change it that often. I mean, we could have just as easily been a big stink kicked up in the community, and Zed might have turned around 2 days later and said, okay, 12's going to be worth -4 now, or, you know. So I try not to be too hasty with my decisions. I try my best to take the emotion out of it. Like, you know, we all have that jerk reaction, I suppose, when you see an update or whatever. You're like, oh no, it's not going to suit that horse, you know. But yeah, I mean, obviously a bit of a running joke with the whole beta thing or whatever. But I suppose we are technically, I suppose, still in beta, and they're still trying to work out what works best. So try to be patient and make the best decisions I can along the way. Hopefully,
try to at least.
Try to. That's right. Yeah.
What yeah, it's crazy too, right? Because like right before the stamina update, Uterine Genesis floor for mares was 0.8, and colts were like 0.5, and now you can get them for like 0.12.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just looked just a couple of hours ago, and I seen you can get like unraced like Z9 colts, so they're unraced, unbred, for quarter of an ETH.
Oof.
Like, it's crazy. Like it.
Can you get that graded by PSA and put it up for a while?
That's right. Like, I mean, that they're perfect. Just they'd be perfect to buy, and just sort of they'd be the ones that you transfer to the ledger.
Yeah.
So you're not tempted to race them, and then hopefully in 5 years' time, there's not a lot of unraced, unbred Genesis left, and should fetch a decent premium. But once again, it's just a balancing act. I'm sure everyone's in the same boat. I mean, there's lots of good buys out there at the moment. It's just a matter of trying to work out how you can get your ETH to work best for you. Because, like, you know, say a Finny stud at 0.4 might be a really good buy at the moment, but what else can you do with the 0.4 at the moment is the question, I suppose. So knowing where to park your ETH at the moment, a bit tricky. But there's a few good projects going on outside of Zed, so it's been good to see this time around with like people being a bit flat on it. You know, we're in a bit of a lull at the moment. I know we've got the tournament on, which is good, but just people in general with racing seem to be a little bit down on it at the moment. So it's good to see other projects sort of, we could all sort of shift our attention not away from Zed, but, you know, just give us something else to have a muck around with. Like this, the Red Village looks pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited for them. It's not a game, well, it's not a game at the moment, but I'm pretty excited for the Wizards as well. I think that sounds like a bloody really cool project.
Yeah, we're both minted. Well, you didn't mint Blood Village. You had to buy yours on secondary, right?
I did, yeah. I did actually end up at work a little bit longer that morning than I thought I had to be, and I thought, I'll be home an hour after it starts. There'll be no dramas. And yeah, got home and sold out. And then I seen the post on Twitter they'd sold in 10 minutes, which has got to be super bullish for a project to sell out in 10 minutes. Like, especially for 0.1, like, it's not cheap. Right. And like ETH's high. You know, so it's got to be bullish. And I mean, I've been to their in their Discord, and they seem to have a pretty good community. So obviously some big Zed guys in there with like Doofy and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been some fun. Hopefully I can. They're not Z1s, so I think they're R1s. Hopefully I can snag an R1 when my portal reveals. I wish I would have brought a couple more now, but yeah, I got up in the morning sort of hoping to sell a couple of things overnight and get another portal, and I think I got up in the morning and they were 0.57, and I was like, whoa. I was like, there's no way I'm buying one at 0.57, and I think they're down to about 0.4 at the moment now. So
I think I saw them dip to 0.3 something, like 0.3.5.
Yeah, that was a few hours ago. I think you're right. Yeah, and I sort of ummed and ahed then, but I'm sort of umming and ahhing at the moment between that and trying to maybe get a Finny stud before we see a bit of price action back the other way.
And it's funny because that's how I made all my decisions for the last like 6 months in crypto, is how many Genesis horses am I giving up for this opportunity?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, and I'm not any less bullish than Zed, but like you said, like, where can you park the ETH temporarily? Like, I think the amount of time that it's going to take for, you know, Beater and Genesis 4 to move up, I'll be able to catch it and, you know, grab it on the way up.
That's right.
I don't have to just scoop now.
That's right. I mean, it's basic math, isn't it? I mean, even if they double in the time that you take the ETH elsewhere and you triple it or quadruple it, or hopefully 10x it somewhere else. I mean, you can come back and still buy them Genesis horses for cheaper, so to speak, as far as your wallet's concerned.
Right.
Because you've been able to make the ETH work a bit better elsewhere. So yeah, I'm pretty much doing the same thing at the moment, and yeah, just trying to get into some good discords and have some good convos in there and meet some good people. So
what so have you always been kind of like a gamer and kind of messing around with strategy games and stuff?
Yeah, I've definitely always been a strategy, especially a strategy game player too. Like whether it be Age of Empires, I think that was my real early one back in high school. We used to all get in the computer room at high school and play 8v8 on Age of Empires and stuff, and used to love it. And even though I was no good at it, used to have fun all the same. And then another game that I played, which is, I mean, it's not NFTs, but I mean, I think Sin posts every now and then. He speaks about RuneScape.
Yep.
I was a big RuneScape player. Loved it.
Full mass set here.
Yeah. So I had the same. Actually, I can remember having multiple Santa hats at a time, and a couple of red masks. And I don't think I ever owned a party hat.
No, I never upgraded to the party hat.
No, but I've got cousins. that I got into RuneScape, and they're 30 and they're still playing it, and they're probably, I think I've got my cousins are probably, both of them are probably top 100 RuneScape players in the world.
I bet.
So they're
crazy.
They're really big on the game, and they've got the party hats and stuff. But yeah, that was sort of me. I mean, I sort of see the comparison there with the whole NFT thing, with the selling these items, and you could buy and sell RuneScape gold and all this sort of stuff. Like I had one of my mates live with me for a long time, a few years when we were in high school, and we basically just used to share my RuneScape account. And on the weekends, man, we would run it in shift work. We would, he'd be mining to 3 o'clock in the morning, then he'd wake me up with a cup of coffee or whatever, and it's your turn. Mum couldn't work out why we're so tired all the time on weekends, but basically working shift work between the two of us, just mining bloody mithril ore or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah, I was that annoying guy with the level 3 account that had 99 mining and 99 wood cutting, and I'd come steal all your trees and your ores. Or back in the original RuneScape, when you could just click on the ore 1,000 times and then it would lag, and then it would just continue and dump the ore on the ground. You'd have to go empty your damn inventory.
Yeah, that was I mean, it's obviously aesthetically it's brilliant now, RuneScape. It's left me behind. I mean, every now and then, every 6 months or so, I get the urge just to sort of pops it in my head. I think, I'll jump on and have a look, and there's all these new skills and abilities, and that the game's just completely left me behind. But
I had downloaded on my phone because one of the guys I work with plays it.
Yeah.
And I downloaded it on my phone and started doing trees and everything. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I have played earned games I can play. I need to not get back in this rabbit hole.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I don't know how I go back now from to games that aren't really play to earn, because it's definitely nice to come home from work, and even if it's even if it's $30-$40 in the night, over a few hours, I mean, it's better than nothing. So it's great. But I love that the old school RuneScape was great. You go into the wilderness and used to have those battles and
try not to get blown up by a mage.
Exactly right. Yeah, it was great fun. Me and the boys just had a ball on that.
Now, what do your kids think about Dead racing digital horses?
Yeah, I mean, if the novelty's worn off for them now, well and truly. But I mean, they did love it for a while. They watched the horses run, and they'd help me name some horses. And I think I named a horse after my oldest girl, and just little things like that. But I mean, I sort of bribed them a little bit to sort of be a bit keener on it too, because when my horses when I was doing very well and winning some decent money, I think Square won $100 and the $15 buy-in, so it works out to be roughly $150 Australian profit from winning the race. And I gave the wife and the two girls all $50 each. And I said, this is from Square. It's winnings today. And they're, thanks, Square. And they were pretty happy about that. So, and they were pretty keen on it for a couple of hours after that, watching all the races. But then, sort of faded off. But I don't watch a lot of races myself these days. I mean, the bigger money ones I do, and if I happen to catch them, but having so many races, if you've got over half a dozen, not necessarily strong ones, but ones that you're consistently racing, I mean, you just end up so time poor. I mean, between, chatting in Discord, scrolling through Hawku, listening to YouTube, watching and listening to YouTube content, I mean, I don't have a lot of time to watch the races. I usually just check results now.
How many hours do you think you spend on Zed a week?
It'd be 6 hours a day easy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be nearly 50 hours a week.
Wow.
It'd be close. It'd be 40, 50 hours a week, I reckon. I like to sit here and pretend like I'd like to sit here and pretend like I've got more of a life than I do, and pretend like I don't spend as much time on it, but I do.
It's just fun. Like if
it is.
If play to earn gaming wasn't a thing and this game came out as just a regular game, I would be playing it.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's good fun, and I mean I'm excited now with these breeding updates that I'll be able to actually breed, especially considering I've gone out and got a Szabo stud. I'll actually be able to breed him now, and it won't cost me too much. Especially if you can do it across the two. You do it across the two stables and get your 56% back, and it's not too bad. But yeah, I won't be breeding for to profit. I mean, it's tempting to want to sell the UUs and make a little bit of money, but I think it was Doofy that said it a while ago, and just like couldn't live with it. Basically, the little bit of profit you're making off selling them unraced compared to the gut wrenching feeling. Like, can you imagine if you bred Princess of Power and then sold it unraced?
Unraced.
Yeah, I couldn't play after that.
How about if you were sitting on a milk bar and only ran it at distance races? Because I think they bought Milk Bar with 3 races.
Oh,
and they were all. It was like 2,600 and 2,400, $5 odds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy's got an eye for it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
crazy.
Who knows what he's I mean, he spoke about his strategies and stuff before, but who knows what in depth he goes into? But he's definitely got it worked out, that guy. So.
Yeah, well, there's other stables too that are getting strong horses that are moving up.
Yep.
It's funny too though, because it seems like there's not a lot of current horses being bred that can kind of stand up to some of the previous champions we've seen.
Yep.
And I think the gap's slowly getting closer, but I don't know, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and I think too, like the biggest thing, like you kind of talked about, like your strategy's changed every time Zed makes an update, and you just kind of adapted the way you need to. Because like I know when I first bought my first horse, breeding wasn't even open. So like you either had a runner that could make money, or you had a runner that could lose money, and those were your two options. Like you couldn't sell anything because you couldn't breed anything.
Yep. Yeah, I think breeding must have, from memory, I think it had just opened back up when I started playing, and so I never went through the whole. I'd still hear if I talk about them breeding died forever, and luckily I never had to play through any of that. But I mean, all those guys got through it. It's just another hurdle. And I mean, it's nice sometimes, you hear in hindsight with some of these guys that have been around forever, your Dan Shans alike and stuff like that. And they say, this is just another, it's just another bump in the road, so to speak. I mean, who knows where we'll be in another 6 months' time, hopefully on the moon. But, but yeah, we'll see how it goes and just sort of adjust as we go along. That's all you can do, really. I mean, at the end of the, I spent plenty of time with the, especially once I got to the stage, I poured most of my crypto money into Zed. Not financial advice, but poured most of my money into Zed, and then it's hard not to get frustrated, when you see these changes, or I was making $500 a week racing, and now I'm making 50. It's hard not to get a little bit cranky and disheartened and stuff like that. But I mean, you adjust along the way, and like you said, and adjust your strategy. And I'm still having fun, and I'm still spending 40 hours a week. I mean, someone had a post the other day, something about, nice to, I don't know who they're talking about, doesn't matter, but nice to see you were selling you were going to sell your whole stable last night, and then I've seen you've raced 20 times this morning. So and I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. I've been, that's it. If I can get this for these horses, I was never going to completely leave Zed, but I mean, I had stages there where I wanted to really cut back my investment. So I didn't feel so stressed when they would change things. Like, oh no,
Right.
where's all my money gonna go? You know, so not have all my eggs in the Zed basket, so to speak. But yeah, just adjust along the way. And as long as you're still having fun, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, obviously it's play to earn, and everyone wants to make money. I mean, we all want to make money, but as long as you're having fun and you're not losing copious amounts of money, I mean, I think it's all right.
Yeah. What if you could have any feature added to Zed, what are you looking forward to most?
I mean, well, without thinking too hard about it, I think we've spoken about it before, and I think you've pointed out to me we've had the glitches where it comes up like you can almost put your mare into stud.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that. I think
Yeah.
it'd be cool to be able to sell. And I understand why you wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, that would happen in real life all the time. Just as much as people buy studs, they'd buy a foal from a mare, I assume.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that. I mean, add a bit more value to the mares. I mean, I don't know how they work it. They just have 3 times the stud floor, something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea. It seems like there's a lot of unrest with the current format of studying, so they probably should figure
Yeah.
that out. But I agree. And it would save having to do breeding deals where you're transferring horses or doing anything too crazy, because it's still kind of it's not a very safe place in the crypto world still.
No, and you're right. And I would like to see a lot more of it. Obviously, they've got a lot of work to do, but
Right.
I'd like to see as much as possible be done on the Zed platform. You know, so sort of cut out the open sea, you know, cut out all these other things, and just have not cut them out. I mean, they've been fantastic, like Corku and Know Your Horses. I mean, I wouldn't. Honest, there's no way I probably would have ever got right in and kept playing without those things. But I'd like to
Right.
see. I mean, it's sort of like I know nothing about the whole crypto programming, making games. I know nothing about any of that. But I mean, I could imagine if them guys are able to do it and make their own whole external site for it, I can't see why it would be that hard for Zed to do it. Obviously, there's more than I understand involved, but I'd like to see as much as possible added onto just the platform itself. So you didn't have to have all these tabs open and all this sort of thing and run the risk of, like you're saying, if you want to do the mare at the moment, you've got to organise like a foal deal with somebody, and at some point some trust has to come into it because someone has to transfer somebody something first, or unless you want, and then otherwise you have to bugger around and find a third party that you both agree to. And yeah, I think it's just a bit more mucking around than it needs to be. And like you say, make it safer for people, because I don't think I mentioned it. Actually, I should have mentioned it earlier at the very start when you said about your first horse. But my first horse was actually, I got scammed. It was a fake horse.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I knew nothing about NFTs, and I look back on it now and I just think, bloody idiot. And
How much did you spend on it?
I think it was about 200 US at the time, so
Oof.
not too bad. But I was
No.
gutted. I was
So
gutted at the
that's your
time.
first one ever.
Yeah, and it was just one of those fake horses. Like, it just didn't have it was like a fake Zed Run collection, and like it was red flags all over the place, and I didn't know any better. And the guy seemed nice. We'd gone back and forth for a couple of days in Discord, and he's all like, "Oh no, it's all right. Like, I'll transfer you the horse first." And like he did, he gave me the horse, and by that stage, he gave me hook, line, and sinker. I thought, oh well, he's given me the horse first.
Right.
And then I just transferred the ETH to his wallet, and it was literally like 20 seconds after I transferred him the ETH, I realised, it dawned on me, and I seen it didn't have the Zed Run tick, and I actually done the right thing. I didn't. I thought about it. I thought about just chucking it up myself and trying to resell it, but I thought, no, I'm not. It's not me. I'm not going to do the same thing to somebody else. And I actually ended up talking another bloke out of doing the same thing. He got ripped off with the literally exact same horse, like they had the same name and everything.
Oh,
And he was trying to resell it. I'd seen that he brought it, and he was trying to resell it in Zedjet, or not in general, but in their sales part.
Yeah.
And I shot him a message, and I just said, "Look, bro," I said, I got done by the same bloke. I said, "It's unfortunate," I said, "but don't try to resell it." I said, "It's the wrong thing to do." And he just sort of messaged me back and said, "Yeah, sorry, you're right. I'll take it down." I was pissed off and wanted me money back, and I said, I was the same, but you live and you learn, and you always got to check for that little blue check mark. And
do you still have that NFT?
no, I think that's one of them dodgy ones. I think similar to them ones that you were collecting at one point, and
Yeah,
they vanish.
yeah, those damn track stars I was getting all excited about. People kept listing
Yeah,
them
so
for $3. I'm
I
like,
think
oh,
it's I think it sat to me stable for maybe 3-4 days or something like that, and then it just vanished on its own. And
which
yeah,
is
I'd made my
weird.
mind up by that point that I wasn't going to try to sell it anyway. So
Like, I don't understand how something that's minted on the blockchain can vanish.
yeah, I don't
I
know. I
need to
mean,
talk to somebody more technical.
yeah, I mean, I assume that it's just the creator is able to delete the collection or something to that nature. Is how I just assumed it must work.
I
But
thought that was the whole point of NFTs, so they can't do that.
yeah, I mean, there's
You know how
plenty
many
of
times my Diablo vault
undesirables out
got
there.
wiped?
Yep, yep, yeah. There's plenty of dodgy people out there that, and I mean, they suck. But I mean, I don't know their situation. Maybe they're trying to feed their families or whatever. I mean, this guy that ripped me off. I mean, obviously it's not
Yeah,
great, but I mean he earned it. He earned the $200, to be honest. Like he it wasn't just like a quick little scam. Like he
right.
went back and forth with me for ages, and like normally you can pick the scammers, like they don't type proper English and stuff like that, and you sort of I'm a bit sus on this guy, but his English was, he was slang talking and, swearing with me back and forth in Discord. It just seemed like a normal guy, just a normal lad. And yeah, completely got me hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, so he earned it. If he was just trying to feed his family somewhere over in some second, third world country, all power to him. He got me.
That's funny. I didn't hear that story before. I'm happy we got that out.